Today's lesson is on how to resolve two-step equations. Solve the following equation: 21.61 minus 1.29d equals 10. Take a second to copy down the question. So when we're solving an equation, we're solving for the variable. So we need to move everything away from the variable by doing the opposite operation. So I have this negative 1.29d. I need to move everything that's not directly connected to it first. So that would be this 21.61. In order to move it to the other side, I have to do the opposite. So since this is a positive, I'm going to subtract 21.61 from both sides. 21.61 minus 21.61, that cancels out because it equals 0. And I'm just left with negative 1.29d. And then on the other side, I'm going to do 10 minus 21.61. And that equals negative 11.61. Now, I have to get rid of this negative 1.29 times d. So the opposite of multiplying by that is dividing. So I'm going to divide by negative 1.29 on both sides. Because whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other side. Negative 1.29 divided by negative 1.29 cancels out, and I'm just left with d. When I do negative 11.61 divided by negative 1.29, I'm left with 9. So then my answer is just d equals 9. So that means if I were to substitute d back into my equation, the left side would equal to the right side. The second question. Andrew rents bowling shoes for $4. He bowls 2 games. Andrew spent a total of $22. How much was the cost of each game B? Take a second to copy down the question. So I know that we can figure this out just using math and using numbers, but we need to write an equation and solve that equation. So I'm going to write my equation out. He rents the bowling shoes for $4, 2 games. He paid a total of $22, and we need to find the cost of each game for B. So the $4, he just pays that one time. He also pays, we're going to add on 2 times B, because it's 2 games times B, which is the cost of each game. And the total he spent was $22. So I have 4 plus 2b equals 22. So I have my plus 2b. I need to move everything that's not with that first. So that's my 4. So I'm going to subtract 4 from each side. 2b equals 22 minus 4 is equal to 18. Now I have 2 times b. So the opposite of times is dividing. So I'm going to divide by 2 on both sides. 2 divided by 2 cancels out. So I'm just left with b equals 9. And since this started out as a word problem, I'm going to answer it as a word problem. So each game cost $9. And that would be your final answer. And the last question. Christy ran 24 laps in a charity run and then walked 0.2 kilometer to the presentation table. The total distance she traveled was 29.6 kilometers. What was the total distance of each lap? Take a second to copy down the question. So, we need to first determine what it is that we're looking for. We need to know what the distance of each lap is. The big difference between this problem and the previous word problem is that the previous problem told us the variable. Here we don't have the variable, so I'm just going to call it x. I'm going to let x equal the distance of each lap. So we need to make sure that we include what that variable is. We can't just have a variable and not have it represent everything. So her total that she traveled was 29.6, 2.6 kilometers, and she ran 24 laps. So her total, so we're going to have something equal to 29.6. She ran 24 laps. So we're going to have 24 times the distance of each lap, which we just said was x. Now she also walked the 0.2 kilometers. Since she ran that and walked that together, we're going to add up these two terms. So now I'm going to solve this equation. I have 24x. I need to get rid of this 0.2 first. So I can subtract 0.2 first. I have 24x. 0.2 minus 0.2 cancels out, equals 29.6 minus 0.2 is equal to 29.4. So now I have 24 times x. So I can divide by 24 and divide by 24. When I divide my 24 over 24, that cancels out, and I'm just left with x equals, and 29.4 divided by 24 is equal to 1.225. So that means that each lap is 1.225 kilometers. And that would be your final answer.